Well, Tony is with us, as you can see from Knoxville. Those of you watching it by way of podcast, go ahead and fire that at him.
So, Tony, defensively, I know that you've been a little upset, not upset, but just weary of the secondary. But when they hold a team like NC State, and I'm not saying I think NC State's kind of phony right now. It's kind of at the first of the year, but whatever. But to 143 yards, a Division I Power 4 team, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I still don't know if Tennessee's pass defense has been tested because their defensive line, Tennessee's defensive line, is national championship caliber. What it is. I mean, they've got 12 guys they rotate, and they just keep coming. 15 guys the other night were credited with either a TFL or half a TFL in a major college Division I football game. 15 guys. That speaks to many of whom are defensive linemen. That speaks to a group that as they rotate through, they just continue to come at you in waves. And Tennessee has the look of a team with the combination of that, plus when they went big the other night and ran the ball, and you let the lights come off this quarterback, that quarterback doesn't quite know what he's doing yet, as we all knew early in the season. You wait till he gets his legs under him. It's going to be a scary team. That's what the Vols are looking at through 2 games. That's what they look like.
Did anybody call your post game and complain about anything?
No. Well, they complained about me because I was talking about the free safety, all year, and he's the kid that made the pick, and ran it back for a touchdown.
Right.
Look, when you got defensive ends that can get up in the air, that have the length that Tennessee's ends have, and then they jump and get up in the air. I mean, Kelly will talk about that. That's like a 5th-year quarterback out there, 6th-year quarterback. This McCall guy's been around forever. But, they made that kid look like a shell of himself. That McCall kid late in the game didn't look like he wanted to be out there. He was like shell-shocked by how they couldn't do anything on offense. Nothing.
And that's a pretty good Coastal Carolina quarterback.
Yeah.
Before he got to NC State. He wasn't chopped liver there. He was that league's most valuable player a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me this. It feels like what we saw Saturday is for the moment, and again I say for the moment, not only a team that gets in, but a team that hosts. That's what it felt like to me.
We're publishing projections tomorrow. I've got a guy that's knee-deep in it. He's knee-deep into sports gambling and watches all the markets and all this stuff. He's got the Vols hosting Penn State in the first round of the playoffs. Tennessee is a 6 seed. If that comes to pass, I'm not sure Knoxville survives. I mean, these people are so excited and so hungry to see this come back. And, and I can promise you, George, if we get in that moment here, we're not going to allow a block punt for a touchdown.
Oh, I think I know.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I think I know where that's coming from.
I heard
you're just jabbing, Tony. Come on now.
I heard George going off yesterday. I had to get that in there.
George has never lined down in a 3-point stance. He don't even know what it is, and then he's upset about the special teams. What's George talking about?
Hold on. I did in 5th grade, and I decided I didn't want to get hit. Okay.
Smart man.
I just, I went to basketball.
Hey, George, look at Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, what's it done to him? Physically, right now, he's okay. Mentally, I'm not sure what's going on.
Tony, I'm going to choke you when I see you next time.
Oh, no question. Sicilian hug, as we call it, Kelly.
Yet another threat of physical violence coming from Kelly. Mm-hmm. So if you had to guess, because I've brought this up, that the weekend, if you're not one of the top 4, but you host, it's Christmas. It's the week before Christmas, the Friday and Saturday before a Wednesday Christmas.
That's right.
A lot of the schools, I think, will have trouble with student, that they allot this many for students. At Tennessee, what would be the number of tickets they allot for student body in football?
We don't know any of this yet, George. I've tried to drill down on this because when Tennessee got bad, they took a bunch of student tickets back weekly. So they sell them now. So there's not as many students in these games as used to be.
Really?
Yeah, they had a snafu week 1 here, and Danny White had to take to Twitter and apologize to the students because they have some kind of deal where when you're a student, you get priority depending on the number of events you go to. Well, that internally snafu'd, and the people that were at the top of the food chain, many of them got bumped to the bottom, and they weren't happy about it. But there was no place to put them. There was no way to accommodate those people. So he went on Twitter and apologized and, kind of took one for the team. From the perspective of, if you think ahead to the playoff is administered, my belief, I've talked to some people, by the playoff committee itself. Therefore, you get a preponderance of the tickets in there, but they get to say as to how where the visitor seats are and all that stuff. It becomes their venue, kind of like they do when they go to Nashville and take over the arena, kind of like they do in baseball when they go to various venues. You guys have seen that at Vanderbilt. They take over the venue.
Did you hear that, Billy?
He's throwing some jabs today.
He is.
Like it.
No,
You're
Vanderbilt
right.
baseball. You guys have hosted the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, he's talking about the regionals. That was
I know
not a
what he's
jab.
saying. Well, what he's saying is, for instance, let's say Xavier plays at Vandy in a regional. They're guaranteed a certain number of tickets,
right?
And they're guaranteed, to not be out on West End Avenue. That they are legit tickets.
Right. And my belief, George, is that the NCAA and not these universities are the ones that are going to handle all that stuff. Like the price point of the ticket, what it's going to cost, all that stuff. It's an NCAA deal, not a University of Tennessee deal. That's my belief.
I agree. And it won't be a $40 ticket.
No.
So, okay, let me ask this one last thing, and then we'll go to Kelly. Whatever you thought they were going to be before the season started, are you having to mentally change your thoughts and say, okay, wait a minute, maybe I've undersold them based on how they looked Saturday? Because it's one thing, I had been saying all week that Tennessee has a better group of athletes than NC State. They're up here, NC State's down here. But Tony, I didn't think 51-10.
And Tennessee played offensively. Well, their quarterback played about a C game.
Right.
His standards. C. Threw the ball up for grabs a couple times, whatever. One time got away with it. One time pick. Had one take back for a touchdown. And NC State's not even in the game. Recalibrate. I'm recalibrating on opponents. I'm looking at an Oklahoma team right now that Tennessee's going to see in about, 10 days. Oklahoma's got real issues on their offensive line. They have a young quarterback that's same age as Nico, same type of experience as Nico, only his first 2 games, though they're wins, he wants to forget. He's been knocked around. He's been knocked all over the place. Temple hit him several times. Houston, who got blown out the week before by UNLV, was rocking him the other night. Oklahoma is down a couple of wide receivers. They're down to a third-string center, George. Third string. They've had to move guys around from a line that returned virtually no one from last year. They got big early season problems on offense. That said, they're excellent defensively. I think it's the second best defense Tennessee will see all year, this side of Georgia. And they turn teams over. So it's still going to be a challenging game. Then you've got Alabama, who over the weekend got shoved around by South Florida. South Florida shouldn't shove anybody around. It's a very good football game. And that Alabama game is going to be in Knoxville. Last year, Alabama had the luxury of growing their offensive line, and Tennessee had them on the ropes. The 2.5 score lead at halftime that they gave up. after halftime, and Alabama took that game and went on, and we know the rest. They came this close to playing for a national championship, losing to the eventual national champion, going for 2 at the end of a playoff game. That's one hell of a coaching job by Saban to get from that point to there. So Tennessee's schedule looks more navigable now. But is it real? I don't know.
It's too early to know.
It's too early. The thing about this team, though, is you guys were talking about this before we came on. When you get in 12 personnel like the Vols did and just shove it down somebody's throat the way they did, and you don't have your quarterback, he's not dialed in just on that night. You just do it. They just did it. Their first trip inside the red zone, they did it, and they never came out of it. And I'll be honest with you, people covering the program, people around it, the whole deal, nobody thought that was coming. Nobody thought that was coming.
I feel like you need to apologize for the threat of bodily harm.
I feel like not. There's no apology coming from me. I promise you that.
No, Kelly,
you need to sit over there, George, and just be quiet. It's what you need to do.
My radio partner, Bino Jeff Henderson, says I'm the only guy that can make the Pope cuss. He said if he was around you, he would threaten you with violence. He said, I have a way about me.
When we get together at some point in the future, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Well,
you're going to get choked.
I'm going to Sicilian hug you, Kelly. That's when you pull them close and you take your little X-Acto knife and you mark them.
Well, the best thing you got going for you is you'd likely be here for hockey, and Kelly, all he knows is the Fordyce Center in Antioch.
Well, that's a shame. Kelly, you would love hockey, man, if you gave it a chance.
I like hockey. I like hockey. I just like watching it from my couch.
And Billy Derrick, the way your Notre Dame boys are coming, you're going to need something to watch in October as well. Get you some of that. The Preds are right around the corner, Billy Derrick. Get you some of that.
Hey, Northern Illinois, baby, get you some of that. So let me ask you this, Tony. When I watched the game the other night, it's just amazing to me how fast Tennessee is. They're like really fast. And the thing that I brought up yesterday on the show was when that kid, when Nico gets that ball tipped up in the air and the kid catches it and runs, one of y'all's receivers almost caught him from like 40 yards away. If he had another 5 yards, he's going. I'm amazed at the speed that Tennessee has on both sides of the ball.
And they've worked really hard at it. A lot of that's player development because they haven't had the top flight recruiting classes here yet, that the rest of the upper echelon teams have. So a lot of this is player development, and it's pretty impressive. We were talking about that defensive line. That's a ton of player development. That's what they've done. And you're right on that play. Tennessee played the other night with an edge. I like it. I like the finishing blocks out of bounds. That thing, they got called for 15 yards. They had the offsetting penalties, whatever it is. Peely got called for one the other night, hitting a guy after the whistle. The guy, deserves an Academy Award for that, the way he fell on the ground and writhed around in pain. Hey, listen, John Adams came on our Garza Law fifth quarter fan reaction and brought an interesting comment up. He said for some reason, Tennessee felt like, vibes-wise, which we all talk about vibes these days, he said they felt like a Miami team from like the mid-'80s, early 90s. The way they just bullied that team. They just walked on the field and bullied that team, Kelly. They beat them up at the line of scrimmage, and they bullied them. And that's what when they were in their down period here for, in the wilderness, that's what teams would do to them. But this team here, I'm telling you, that defensive line, the thing I keep going back to is if I've got Tennessee's defensive line and I've got Nico and I've got that offensive line and the ability to run the ball like they do, we haven't even talked about their wide receivers. They didn't hardly throw the ball downfield the other day because of NC State's alignment. Josh Heupel said, okay, you're going to give me this? We'll take it all night long. 51 points. I mean, are you kidding?
I agree. So that's one of the things I want to bring up. But before I do that, we don't know yet. Nobody knows yet. But we think, and you think, is this Heupel's best team? I mean, we know what Hendon Hooker did a couple of years ago. They got to the number one team in the nation. They were teetering on that. Had a great year. He kind of came on the scene. Is this Heupel's best team, you think?
I think it's their highest ceiling team they've had, yeah.
Okay.
Potentially. Okay. Things have to happen. let's talk about what the linebacking play looks like, because that's going to get tested and exposed in this league. And there are some tricky spots on Tennessee's schedule. You know, if you guys look down at that schedule, one of the interesting games is that Arkansas trip there. That's been a bugaboo for Tennessee down through the years under various coaches. And for whatever reason, Arkansas, even when they're terrible, give the Vols a game, give them headaches. I don't know why that is. And this Arkansas team can throw the ball around a little bit. Now, they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory the other day. And anybody that gambles on that game knows what I'm talking about. The line was 7.5. And they found a way to lose by 8.
Yeah.
I mean, double overtime. You talk about a bad beat. But my point is that one thing that Vanderbilt proved in week 1 when they beat a Virginia Tech team that a lot of people think could contend in the ACC coming into the season, in this league, nothing is a given. I don't care how bad the league is done, you know, with some of these results and Arizona State getting a win and Cal getting a win and this, that, and the other. We all know that when these teams play each other, they give each other their best shot. It's not about what happens in that non-league. And the middle and the bottom of the league is going to test the teams in the upper tier like Tennessee. You can't take a week off in this deal.
So my last question is, and you talked about it a little bit, but Josh Heupel, I read something where one of the reporters asked him about, hey, the passing game. Everybody thinks that Heupel and those guys are a passing team, which that's what they get notoriety for. But if you really want to boil down to it, he's pretty balanced, and he can run the football. They had 249 yards rushing the other night. So just talk about the run game, and if they can do that with the potency they have in the air, I mean, they're going to be really scary if they can just start mashing people like they did against NC State.
One of the great misconceptions of Heupel, and Matt Dixon, who's on me on Tuesdays and Thursdays, he blogged today, and he was talking about this on the air today. He's a real sicko. So he went back and watched all of the games at Central Florida, all of them, to get a sense for who this guy is, okay?
Yeah.
And one of the things that came to him from his time at Central Florida watching him was this guy has a running offense that they throw the ball out of. That's really what it is. And that's why their running numbers are always up there. Always, always up there. And Heupel bristled at that the other day. He was asked about, you know, you're like Leach and you throw it around. Granted, he loves Mike Leach. But this is not a Mike Leach offense. This is I got banished by Oklahoma. And that's another sidebar to this Oklahoma deal, is that he thought he was going to be the head coach at Oklahoma one day. And they basically sold him out. He's never said Bob Stoops' name in an interview. He will not say his name in an interview.
No.
It's a bad deal. And we had Barry Tramon on, who's been down in Oklahoma for forever, George. He's an incredible guest. He's incredible. He's incredible. Barry said he was talking to Heupel's brother-in-law a few years back. Hey, if he's ready to talk, I'll talk to him. And the brother-in-law was like, you know, I just think that thing wounded him. That thing wounded him, man, close to his heart, what they did to him at Oklahoma. But when he was banished, he took a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And, man, he's the top of college football with this. They run first, Kelly. You played that position. Does that look like a gimmick finesse offense to you Saturday night? They run the ball first.
People don't understand that because he's known for like throwing the football. But if you look at it, that's what Rich Rodriguez did. That was at Michigan. He's at Jacksonville State. He used to spread you out to run the football. It seems that's kind of like Josh Heupel is. He likes to run the football, and when you have 250 yards rushing, it's pretty good. You're going to win a lot of games.
Well, and the thing that really pounds this home for me is the other night they pulled a lineman when they had Nico. They called Nico's number when he ran the ball into the end zone from 26 yards out. They pulled a lineman to do that. That was a called play. That was a designed quarterback keep, and he walked in untouched. And I'll ask you, I don't know who to comp Nico to because I've never seen a guy like when they were showing this guy spike the volleyball. I was thinking to myself, well, I said on my show today,
God, that
all
was
I could picture
freakish.
was I'm a dad in the stands, okay? And my little son over here at Halls High School goes out for the volleyball team. And Nico Frico's out there spiking the ball on the top of my Italian son's head, just he comes home all black and blue from a volleyball match. I mean,
Nico,
in the
on the other
football,
end of that?
normally it's 6'6". You don't look very good running the football, but he looked pretty natural at running the football.
I don't know who to comp him to. George, I say he looks like, with the release of the football, he looks like a Dan Marino, the way the ball comes out quickly. Running with the ball, he looks like Randall Cunningham. I mean, it's crazy looking.
And in volleyball, he looked like Dominique Wilkins.
Yeah, he was so high, man. I'm like, what are we doing?
That was some scary footage. Okay, I want you to look at something.
Yeah.
For those of you in radio, I am showing you right there. That is the Predator schedule.
Boom.
Okay? I need you to take a look at it.
Yep.
He's not coming, George.
Yes, he is. He absolutely is.
Is Kelly going? Is Kelly going?
No, good Lord, no.
Okay.
I may come. If you come, I may come.
Oh, I invited him years ago. He acted like he was
a special effort.
I'm coming down with a cold now.
Special effort.
What were you? I heard my name in vain, Billy Derrick. You Notre Dame fan, you. Don't give up on the Irish. There's still about 3 more losses to go, Billy.
Hey, they got to play Hey, they'll be fine. They got to play the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. So they'll
Marines have been added. Yeah, the Marines have been added in the last 15 minutes.
That's a shame.
Tony, tell people how they can hear you.
Well, and we what we do in my house is we track the passing of time by what my eyes look like underneath here. I'm mousy already. I've got a night game this week, another night game the week after that, and then thank God, I think a week off before October happens. We were on the 3 Eastern time. And a buddy of mine said, after the Oklahoma game, you're going to have to stay on there till 5 a.m. I said, what am I, Larry King on Mutual Radio back in the day? What am I doing, an overnight show now?
Art Bell.
And that is the truth. We had some wacko callers. Like around 3 a.m. Eastern time, we had some wackos come in there. I was like, you know what? My brain's starting to rattle around in the back of my head. It's quitting time, y'all. But tclub.team is where you can find us. We'll be on after Kent State, who might have the worst team in Division I. There was a power rating out there I saw, George, where there are something like 26 or 27 1AA schools that are ranked ahead of this team that's coming to town this weekend, this Kent team, who lost to somebody called St. Francis over the weekend. But tclub.team is where you find us. We blog every day there. Great content, great stuff. We have fun.
No kidding. Hey, check that thing. Kelly will not come to a game, believe me.
Kelly. Kelly.
He will be nowhere to be found.
Kelly, if we make it, you really need to come, man. Seriously.
I don't know. I'll think about it, but I gotta be around George more than I am on this. I just don't know if I can handle that. Be honest with you.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
That was fun last year, George. We watched the football playoff.
Yes, it was great.
Are the Titans going to get it together, George? And are we worried about this quarterback?
Oh, we have begun to worry.
George had been worried, but I told him to push the brakes, man.
It's too
Pump
early.
the brakes.
It's too early.
It usually takes, 3 years? I mean, look at the kid in Jacksonville. I think it takes about 3 years, usually.
And look, I hope you're right, but that play can't ever happen again.
No.
And by the way, I got to go to a break.
Love you guys. Thanks.
See you, Tony.
Peace.